Good evening, everybody. This is Mary Fete. I'm the Executive Director for the National Foundation for Ectodermal Dysplasias. I'm going to give it just a few minutes. It's just right at 6. And for those of you who listened last time I spoke, sometime in February, I talked to myself for about 20 minutes. So I'm never clear whether I'm really live online. So I wait for somebody to text me or to comment that I'm actually online. So let's just give it a few minutes. Anybody out there? Hey, Becky, I'm on, huh? So I'm live. So again, I'll just give it just a few minutes for a few seconds so that I'm sure people can connect. Okay, you see me. So I'll start again. Good evening, this is Mary Fete. I'm the Executive Director for the National Foundation for Ectodermal Dysplasias. And many of you know that Facebook is not my area of expertise. So I apologize for the stumbles along the way and the pauses, but it does give me a way to connect with you. And I think that's really a really great thing. So thank you for joining me tonight. I'm thrilled to see you online, and I really appreciate your time tonight. So I want to start off, first of all, by wishing Mary Kay Richter, our founder, a very, very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mary Kay. Woohoo! And Mary Kay, your vision, your talents really set the NFED up for such tremendous success. I'm sure you never realized what we would be 40 years later. So we all thank you, and we're very grateful for your vision. I will mention that we lost a dear friend of ours last week, Dr. Frank Farrington. He was such a wonderful man. He had the heart, the kindness, the soul of a man you only meet once in a lifetime. His contribution to our organization, I can't even describe. He was a dear friend to the organization. He was a personal friend to me and our family, our community, and we're going to miss him sorely. So we love you, Frank. I know you're up there watching over us, so thank you. So today is Volunteer Appreciation Day. And actually, we've been celebrating volunteers all month. These are the people that are the heart and soul of the NFED. You allow us to fulfill our mission. Your hard work, those quiet hours behind the scene, they allow us to do what we do. So we'll start with the board of directors. We have a group of 10 very dedicated men and women, very busy professionals that actually help us guide the foundation. They oversee the governance and the fiduciary responsibilities of the NFED. And to all the board of the directors, both present and past, we thank you with all of our hearts. And then we talk about our professional volunteers, all of the members on the Scientific Advisory Council, the Patient Care Council, all the dentists and doctors that volunteer numerous hours to help our community, to help you, our families. I am so grateful for their time and their expertise. We could not do what we do without them. They help us with our educational materials, our website materials, and just about everything that we do. And of course, our families, most importantly, our families that help us drive our missions and mission. And I could go on and give a lot of specifics, but I would be remiss because I'm sure I'd omit somebody. It's all of those family conference committees that help us with the very hard work of doing family conference, especially to the conference committee that helped us with Chicago last year, and the committee that was helping us with our DC activities. How about our advocacy, our family-driven advocacy committee? All of those families that are, I can't even tell you the amount of time they spend advocating on Capitol Hill. Becky Abbott leads those efforts. She's NFED staff. We're talking every day, hours and hours of phone calls and emails to promote legislation that would mandate federal coverage of healthcare coverage for the medically necessary treatment for ectodermal dysplasias and all congenital anomalies, specifically the craniofacial and dental treatments that are most always denied by insurance as cosmetic. And what about the families that do all the writing for us and writing our blogs and sharing our stories, and social media ambassadors, editors? So all of those people, all of you families that help us with our mission, we couldn't do this without you. We're a small staff of 7 members. We couldn't ever accomplish what we do without your help. You are the heart and soul of this organization, and we thank you with all of our hearts. And then there's all those families that do fundraising for the NFED. You know, we can't do anything without money. It's just a fact of life, right? So all of those families that do family fundraisers, and they range from the walks, the runs, the barbecues, the brew festivals, the crawfish broils, all of those family fundraisers, everything that you do for us, all of those dollars go to direct services for our community. So we thank you with all of our heart. You're amazing. And again, we could not do this without you. We couldn't even begin to do the things that we do without you. So we're in some trying times, right? Really challenging times. And I really feel that we need each other more than we ever have before, right? We need to support each other. The NFED is working really, really hard to develop some more support programs online, whether it's through Facebook or through Zoom meetings or our website. So we have some exciting things that we're going to launch in the next couple weeks, months. So if you have any ideas for support activities that you need or that we could help provide, please contact Kelly at nfed.org. She manages all of our support activities, and we're really looking so hard to meet all of our needs, all of your needs, the community needs, virtually. It's challenging for all of us, right? And for all of those that have been so dedicated to help us raising funds, if you have ideas for virtual events, or if your event is being canceled, we desperately need those funds. So if you have ideas to move your fundraiser online, please contact Leah. You know Leah well. She manages all of our family fundraisers, and Leah at nfed.org. We have a new development director, Tim Mickelson, and he would love to hear from you, Tim at nfed.org. So again, we thank all of our volunteers, whether it's from stuffing envelopes in our office, working on family conference, working on our advocacy committee, making phone calls, all of our family liaisons who support our families locally, whether it's in their location or contacting families by syndrome. Those activities are vital to our community, and I thank you with all my heart. So I could go on and on. I'm sure nobody wants me to, but I thank you with all my heart. Thank you so very much for volunteering for us. And again, contact me or any of the NFED staff if you have some ideas. So now we've had some disappointments, right? As everybody in our country and across the world. So family conference, so we're not going to be able to get together this year. So like I said, we're working so hard to provide virtual activities to support you and actually to support the staff to really invigorate us and motivate us. That's what family conference does for us every year. It really gives us that, oh my gosh, we can do so much more. So we need these virtual events as much as you do. So we are excited about some of the things we're going to roll out, and we do want to hear from you because you can help us develop new strategies or techniques to better support you and each other. So we would love to hear from you. So we're disappointed that we won't be able to go on Capitol Hill in person, but that doesn't mean we're canceling Advocacy Day. We're just going to do a virtual event. So I'm really hoping that you're following us on Facebook, on our website about our virtual Advocacy Day. Becky Abbott is organizing that, and we're hoping that we have a huge turnout because we're so close to getting ELSA passed. We're so close to getting legislation passed that would mandate insurance coverage for the medically necessary treatment for all congenital anomalies, not just ectodermal dysplasias. But you know better than I do the tremendous challenges you have getting your dental treatment, teeth covered under insurance. And we have come so far, we cannot give up now. So please join us on our virtual Advocacy Day because we're still working behind the scenes and we really need to make a big splash on our virtual Advocacy Day. So lots of disappointments, right? Cancel events. We're all working from home. So what have we been here, Tim, for 5 weeks? Me and Tim in my house. Who would have thought I missed going to the grocery store, right? I don't even like grocery shopping, but it's like being in the house all the time. So this weekend, I don't know about you, but in the Midwest, we have beautiful weather. Sunny, mid-60s, and we worked out in the yard all day, both days, and it felt really good. So those small things we can do to take care of ourselves. The other disappointments, every time I'm on Facebook or Zoom, I see my hair and I realize, oh my goodness, I could use a trim or a shape, but you know what? It is what it is. So I'm sure we'll get back to normal sometime, who knows when. So that brings us to COVID-19, right? We're all inside and we're all feeling the stress. And so some of the things I'm doing is, and I can get a little wacky. I'm sure Tim's about sick of being stuck with me in a house for 5 weeks. But, I'm exercising every day, trying hard to get my 10,000 steps in and more. We're eating fairly healthy. But, I'm having a treat once in a while. I think that's a good thing, don't you? And, for you moms and dads out there, oh my goodness, I told Tim, if I had to homeschool my 5 children when they were in grade school, I don't think I could do it, but probably so. I talked to my daughter and my daughter-in-laws, and they are coming up with the most creative things to do with their kids, to homeschool their kids. So I just greatly admire all you moms and dads that are working at home and educating your children. Kudos to all of you, because that's a lot, right? So we're bound to feel stress. So I'm not an expert, but I would encourage you to take really good care of yourselves. It's okay to let your partner take care of the kids and you go outside, or I don't know, go in the bathroom and read a book. You need a little space once in a while. That's okay. Take care of yourself. And, if you get to the point where you're really stressed, seek out some help, right? So those are things I'm doing. I'm trying to exercise every day. I'm trying to eat healthy. Although the other day, I think I ate a whole bag of M&Ms. I'm not quite sure if that was a good idea, but it really felt good. So getting outdoors, all those things are just really healthy for you. And we'll all get through this. We're all in this together. And the important thing now is, as we talked a couple weeks ago, follow the CDC guidelines, right? Social isolation, stay home, right? Stay out of big crowds. And wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Cover your cough. Do all those things that the CDC is recommending. And for as long as they're recommending. Because we want to beat this. And so just follow the recommendations. So, Tim and I, my husband's here. He's a pediatrician. And, a couple weeks ago, we did this first Facebook Live. And we thought it's just a good idea to connect with you and see how you're doing. So, don't you come over here, that sunlight's blinding. So, we'd love to hear what kind of things you're doing. Come over here. What kind of things you're doing with your kids to be, creative, and what kind of questions you have for us, really for the expert. He's a pediatrician, but we'd love to hear from you. What kind of things you're doing? I'm trying to watch the chat box. I think Jody's watching the chat box too. But Dr. Tim, he's on right here, and we'd like to know what kind of questions you have. I know your kids are probably feeling a lot of stress. You know, the grade school kids are used to playing outdoors, and if you have nice weather, you can get them out and get the energy out. There is a lot of blessings to be home with your family now. It gives us some time to stop our busy lifestyles and spend some time with our kids. But I bet, you know, some of those kids are having some struggles with that. The teenagers who, you know, that's their whole development phase right now, right? To be social, to be with their friends. And they just might be struggling a little bit. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, it's particularly tough for the adolescents, and I'm going to sound like a broken record from the last time that we were together on Facebook, but there is a great website that the American Academy of Pediatrics sponsors called healthychildren.org, and you know, if you have questions about kids of any age, and particularly thinking about how stressful it is for the adolescents, you can go to healthychildren.org, and there's a wealth of information there specifically tailored to COVID-19 and things that you can be doing at home. You know, the adolescents really are such social beings, and to be trapped at home away from their friends is difficult. So I'm sure that you guys have learned that you have to give them a little bit more slack than you might otherwise give them. But important when we're all trapped at home like this, that you do have some type of a schedule that the kids can rely on. You might be a little bit more lenient and let the adolescents sleep in a little bit later than they ordinarily would on a school day. And they may not need to rush into their schoolwork immediately on arising. You know, let them get up. And particularly if you can encourage them to exercise in a way that they enjoy exercising, whether it's going out for a run or video dancing or something that they enjoy doing to start the day. You know, take a shower, eat some breakfast, and then kind of ease into their scheduled schoolwork. Adolescents can handle, you know, longer time frames with their attention span than the younger kids can. Younger kids, you probably shouldn't schedule more than, you know, 20 minutes at a time with a 10-minute break. Adolescents probably can tolerate a whole subject of work and then a short break between subjects, and then scheduling a longer time, you know, for them at lunchtime so that they can communicate with friends. Probably a good idea. They may not be wild about it, but probably a good idea to have them turn off their social media, their phones during the time that's allotted to school time. But knowing that they're going to get a break at lunchtime to contact their friends and a break between subjects and evening times. Depending on you know, if you have kids that age, you're probably young enough to be pretty good with technology, but if you're not, it's a good time to learn technology from the kids. So having them teach you how to do things with technology
That's a good idea.
gives them a feeling of accomplishment, and you learn new skills with it. So you might work with the kids to learn how to use their technology, and it sort of gives you an idea of how they're using it and what they're doing when you're not with them with their technology. So since they can't see their friends, you know, face to face, to be out doing things, you know, allowing them to have time to play video games with each other, you know, from a distance, and those types of opportunities are good. And giving them a sense of responsibility around the house, not to be nagging, but have them really understand that this is a stressful time for everybody, and that they could really contribute to the family and their community, so that you know, having them take responsibility. Maybe they can make a meal 2 nights a week, and let the
that's a
parents.
fun idea.
Yeah, you know.
Try recipes.
Yeah, try recipes or cook with them, or let them cook their own meals and prepare them and share it with them, so they can take the break, because it's tough for parents who are expected to do their workday from home and to play teacher. You know, we weren't trained to be teachers. We were trained to be all the other things that we do in our life. And so it's, you know, stressful for the parents. So if the kids can help take some of that stress off, and having the older kids be able to feel a true sense of responsibility by helping to manage the younger kids, maybe helping them with some of their schoolwork, or teaching a new game to a younger sibling.
Maybe that gives the parent a break, and
Right.
the older sib can help with the math.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And then besides helping with the younger kids who are trapped in your house, have them think about, you know, outside your immediate home and the broader family and community, so that it can be a really tough time for grandparents now who might be trapped in their own house and not having time to see their kids and grandkids. So, you know,
It's
encouraging.
tough for us.
I know.
We haven't seen our grandkids in so long, and it's hard, isn't it?
Right. So having them, you know, take some special time to reach out and call their grandparents and let them know what they're doing with their life,
Like
and
FaceTime,
checking
too.
in on them. The FaceTime, they love that. They may have to teach grandparents a little bit of that technology. And then it's difficult with the, you know, shelter at home and, you know, strict guidelines that sounds like, you know, nationally they're going to be letting up on a state by state or regional basis. But there are things that, you know, you might encourage the teens to look to see what they can do to help their community. I saw something in our newspaper yesterday morning that there was an 8th grader and I think a freshman in high school who were worried about the kids who weren't getting adequate meals because they're used to getting breakfast and lunch at home. And they, and I know nothing about technology, so I don't know how they did this, but they started, you know, a Fund Me campaign that raised $10,000 in a heartbeat that
Wow.
was contributed to our local food bank to be able to, you know, help feed the families in need. And it's something that if your kids get involved in that kind of stuff, it gives them a feeling of self-worth, that they know that they've helped to contribute to the better good of other people in your community. So those are just a few of the things to be able to do with them. You know, watch them for signs of more serious worry, you know, depression, anxiety, you know, and if you're really concerned that they're super down, you know, they're not eating, they're not talking, they're not communicating, then you may need to see if you can get maybe a video appointment with their family physician or pediatrician, and have them be able to talk to them about, you know, what's going on, and screen them for concerns for worse mental health issues like more severe depression, anxiety type things. So watch for those kind of cardinal signs of depression, and act on it, because unfortunately we've had, over the course of the last decade, you know, progressively increasing risk of suicide attempts and things from adolescents, and it's the number 2 cause of death for adolescents. So this is a trying time for them. So be alert that if they're really acting strange and distant and down, that you may need to seek some professional help for them as well.
And it's available. You just need
Right.
to check your community resources.
Right. But not dwelling on the bad things, the other things to do are to find the things to do that are fun with them. So getting out and doing that exercise with them, you know, taking a walk as a
I
family.
think Jody told me that she took their kids on a big hike this weekend.
Oh,
And
nice.
she has college and teenagers, and everybody had a great time. So it's a good time to do
Right.
something like that with your family, right?
Right. So make good use of that time, you know, spending time with them. You might like to do dance exercise videos with them.
Oh, that's a good idea. I
You
could
know,
use that.
watching movies together, you know, things that oftentimes in our busy lives, we don't take the time to do those things. And now that we are trapped at home with the family, to take advantage of some of that good time is important to do.
Do you think you addressed, Tim, how you talked about people affected by ectodermal dysplasia and their risks for, more serious COVID-19 or respiratory problems? We have a question out there that said, we talked a few weeks ago about how folks with ED are higher risk for COVID. Just maybe a couple sentences on that.
Right. So there's no true scientific evidence out there of how individuals affected by various types of ectodermal dysplasia are doing with COVID. I haven't heard, I don't know if Mary's heard anything new. The last we heard, we talked about last time we were together, that there were a couple of adults in Europe who had COVID-19 and came through fine and did well. But theoretically, because it's primarily a respiratory infection, an awful lot of individuals with various types of ectodermal dysplasias have abnormal mucus in their airways, and it can set them up for routine infections like ear infections and sinusitis and that kind of thing. So that if you or your loved one, is affected by an ectodermal dysplasia and they, as a routine, have more minor infections like ear infections and sinus infections and those kinds of things, or more trouble with asthma, then to keep a close eye that they might be at risk for getting a more serious lung infection with COVID, which seems to have a propensity to go to the lung. And I think we talked about before that we know from the studies that we've done at family conferences and, other things with the families involved over the last, 20 or 30 years, that there is an increased incidence or prevalence of asthma in individuals with ectodermal dysplasias, and folks with asthma are at risk for having a worse case of COVID-19 if they get exposed. Fever management, is important. To some degree, fever helps fight infection, but I wouldn't let my family member get a high fever just to help fight the infection. You need to aim to keep the fever under control for comfort. So trying to keep it,
So it doesn't get out of control,
102 or less, hopefully, consistently, so that it doesn't get out of control, like Mary said,
So Anna, your girls are doing, preparing a Lion King play. I wish you'd videotape that and send that to us. We'd love to see that. Well, Beth, I hope Liam does get his dentures, and that's a good point, dentures. So, if you find yourself in a position where the kids were supposed to get dentures and you're a little more financially strapped because of this crisis, please contact us. We have a little funding that we can help with some dentures. Keep us posted on Liam. We would love to see his picture with his new dentures. Here's a question for you, Tim. I hear there is no developmental delays associated with ectodermal dysplasia, but our son has this, and we're hearing this more and more. Are we seeing more of this connection with children with this disorder?
So there have been a couple of different studies done. One that we did through our foundation, looking at individuals with ectodermal dysplasias. And most of the folks that were involved in that study had hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. And we did not identify any learning disabilities in excess of that you see in the in the general population. So that's one thing. And then there was a similar study done in Europe with the exact same results. Now, we talk about having at least 100 different types of ectodermal dysplasias.
Makes it pretty complex.
Right. And so some of the the complex ectodermal dysplasias can be associated with other neurological problems or learning or cognitive problems or developmental issues. The increased frequency that you're saying that you're hearing about this more and more, I think that there's been a general more awareness in the medical and educational community over the course of the last couple of decades as well, so that many more kids are screened more appropriately than what we were doing 20 and 30 and 40 years ago from very early ages to look for evidence of developmental disabilities or developmental delays. And we find that if you can identify those at a younger age and intervene, the kids tend to have a better outcome. So what you're seeing may be a reflection of what we're seeing in society in general, that there's more attention being paid to those things by pediatricians and family docs, and getting kids started with the school system and educational supports earlier.
Okay, so I see some really good suggestions, maybe about syndrome-specific Facebook Live or Zoom sessions, and I think Kelly responded that we're working on some ideas. So we're really, really happy to have all your ideas. So don't hesitate to share them here, or call me, or call Kelly, or email us, and we'd be happy to hear from all of you. Well, good, David. You're going to show that play and get us a copy. I'd love that. I'd love that, of Lion King. So, we were on a Zoom a couple weeks ago. Facebook a couple weeks ago, and we'll probably pop on every 2 weeks with no good reason, just to check in on how you're doing and how I'm doing, how we're doing. I think it's a good way to connect, especially in this time when we're all virtual. So if we connect and we don't have much to talk about, well, we can just say, hey, we love you, and hang up. But for now, I think it's a really good thing just to connect. So I don't see any other questions out there. I might wait a few more seconds and see if there's any questions. And you've got some good ideas about what you're doing with your children. And I think if we share this with each other, we'll learn from each other, and maybe use some of your good ideas. I really like that idea of cooking with your children. I know our granddaughters like to cook with their moms, and actually my son is cooking with his daughter quite a bit. So it's kind of a fun way to let them do some of the work and have some quality time. So I don't see any other questions. Let's see. Oh.
I'm going to throw out, while Mary's looking at the questions or the comments, that so it's healthychildren.org, all kinds of great information about parenting across the board.
Maybe we could put that on the, Jody, maybe we can post that on a regular Facebook post.
And the other is, unofficially, we would love to know if any of your affected family members have had to deal with COVID-19. How things went. So if you can check in with the organization, the foundation, and let us know how things are going. Probably as things, settle down, we'll do some, unofficial outreach to families to find out
Like after
how
the
they're
fact,
doing.
we'll probably do a survey, maybe on
Right.
our registry or something.
And then
like that,
maybe, try to do something more formal, research survey, so that we can have a better understanding of how these kinds of novel infections affect individuals with ectodermal dysplasia. So the next time something like this comes
Maybe
around,
we'll know
we
something.
can give you some more information. So
That's
let
really
us know.
important. It's really important. Because they say that we could have another wave. So we would like to know as much as we can to be better prepared. So I guess we'll sign out. I want to say to all of our volunteers and all of you, thank you so much. We love you. We love you.
Have a great night.
And we'll be online in a couple weeks, and I look forward to hearing from you. Good night.